I'll give you guys a quick rundown as to what's happening here on the 40. A lot of the lower panels have been pulled off the body just so we can work on the inner structure. In the meantime, we've been very busy joining the roof center section to the side panel. 6.5 feet of welding and metal finishing that we've been doing along here, and it's come out quite nice. All the way back to the sail panel here. Still some rough grinding marks need to be addressed, and we need to finish out this area through here. Deck lid hinges, driver's side's been installed. A few tacks for now, get the passenger side in there, and then once that's all finalized, we can take and put this skin in and weld it to the roof panel. Make it one complete section. And from the back here you can see that looks really good. Nice round egg. And that feature over the door right there, that almost looks factory. So still a little bit of work left in through here, but we're getting very close. Hey guys, today on the M40C build, we're working on something that's really important on the interior. And no, it's not the seats. We can't take the car for a joyride yet. It'd be nice, but not just yet. Welcome to iNVision Prototypes. I'm Nick. We have to work on something that's going to support that roof skin, because once we pull that buck out, the roof's got nothing to sit on. We have to create a structure from within the car that we can fasten the roof to, and that's going to be structurally sound and support that roof properly. I've already started forming a few pieces up, and I'd like you guys to join me in helping me finishing up the rest. Let there be light. Hey, look at that. Flick a switch and the light comes on. So as you can now see, we started the first two pieces over the passenger side area there. The rear sail panel piece as well as the one over the door. And right now they're only pinned on screws, so they're not 100% aligned to where they have to be sitting. We still have to create the A-post pillar sections, a beam across the top of the windshield there, as well as a beam across the back window, one that drops down to the rear deck, and one over the side of the car. Now what makes this so complicated is that we're forming heavy gauge material into the proper curvatures to fit the roof, at least the window openings. They're going to be boxed members. So right now it's an open channel, so we have to create pieces on the other side of that piece there that basically backs it up, gets spot welded to that, and then when the buck is removed and the roof is finally assembled over top, they'll be spot welded around the perimeter, just like an OEM vehicle. So that'll be extremely, extremely strong. So let's get to work and start forming up the sail panel piece as well as the piece over the door here, and get those installed. Pretty neat from looking at the roof from the inside, eh? All the welds have been dressed, and we've been busy plenishing and smoothing and just getting things finalized. With the softer upper wheel, we're going to start forming up the sail panel for the inner structure. Okay, so that should be pretty close to what's the angle on the other side. I'll get a protractor, check that angle. Since we have to take this top section through here and bend it upwards, I don't have the marks on the back side yet, but I'll use this line, which I transposed from the tissue paper template, and I'll just indicate using the wheel with a small line pushing down from the top where we have to bend it on this side. Just like that. So now we have the line on this side. I can take it and roll it through, following that line we just created. So we're getting there. Now this is just the beginning. We need to take and add a few little features to the panel. For this panel to fit properly, we now have to take this section through here and create a kind of a convex shape to allow that to curve up. That's what was done on the passenger side, so we have to duplicate that on this one. So we'll go to the English wheel and create this little bump through here. And that should be really close right there. We'll jump in the car and go test fit this piece. If we're lucky, it'll fit, and then we won't have to adjust anything anymore, and we can take and create the decorative feature that goes into this area. With all this bracing, it's always fun to climb in and out. This top area needs to be brought down. Sorry. This top area here needs to be brought down. I have to take and flatten this flange out and create a little more curvature in this top section here to mimic what the roof is doing. Let's get a vice grip on that. Okay. So I'll get some dimensions, transpose them from the passenger side into here, and we can get this piece fitting a little bit closer. As you can see, that needs to come down because this is sitting a little bit too low. There, let's get comfortable back here. Okay, wow. Okay, that made a huge difference. Made a few adjustments to the pieces. Let's clamp it in place first. There we go. Right there. We will have to take this out again and have to take and roll this top down just a bit more because it's coming up too high. This side's okay. This side here has to come down a bit more. And then we'll also create this offset in this panel here. And at that point, I think it's almost ready to mount on a few screws. So once you get this piece in, this is the most complicated piece. Well, one of the most complicated pieces. Then we'll work on the one over the door, and that should go a little bit smoother, a little bit quicker. To create this offset feature, we've got the offset anvil set up, or wheel set up, and we can just start forming that up. Okay, a little bit there, tighten it up a little bit. Tricky to get started, but there we go. Done. So we have our offset. Gonna flatten that out a little bit because it wavered a bit. Get this flattened out so it makes complete contact with the structure of the window perimeter, and then we can get this mounted on a few screws. I have to fine tune this top corner here, bring it in a little bit closer because it's a bit soft. Don't know if you guys can see, but these back corners will have to be trimmed up because they're kind of shooting off a little bit too far back. I just left it running wild for now until we get this panel through here installed. But this is falling into place here. That's going to come up in a minute. This has to come down and mate up with the piece over the door, so we're gonna work on that next. So again, we're using the soft radius upper wheel. So you can see we got this wavy edge. We're gonna have to take and shrink that a little bit and then roll over the next leg. That's the back and that's the front. It's gonna sit just like that. This here leg has to be rolled in and then rolled back out. Now I'm going to stop rolling this flange for now because I need to see how well this fits the curvature of the roof inside. We may have to flatten this out and stretch this to curve this around a bit more because it does look a little flat. Okay, so we just gave this a bit of stretch, actually used a kick shrinker, and now we're going to take and roll this flange back over. Okay, the fun part's climbing in 15,000 times. Okay, so right away, this leg here is up too high. So that has to come down. It's gonna have to recurve that because this won't fit otherwise. And that curvature up there isn't too bad. It's coming down into the front, into the A-pillar. That's coming out nice. What we have to do is level this flange out a little bit because it's still too angled up, but I kind of anticipated that. And this flange down here has to come down more vertical because it has to match up with this flange here. Okay, we've made all the adjustments on the pieces and created that feature in the side there, in the sail side. Now we're going to install them again. That's what happens when you form something on the bench and you go to put it in the car. What looks good on the bench in terms of flange angles doesn't exactly work in the car. So we're gonna have to make another adjustment on that, but I wanna see how well everything else fits. Got that one and one more up here. I'm gonna back this screw up a little bit just to give us a bit of space up in here, so we can squeeze this panel in. Now we have quite a bit of overlap through here, which is not allowing the panel to come down properly, but that's fine for now. That's fitting well up front. Like that. Yeah, we're gonna have to give it a little bit of curve back here. Let's undo that. Let's see if I can get a vice grip up in there. That's fitting better, okay. Oh, much better. Okay, yeah, this is gonna have to be shrunk to bring that up, and our clamp is actually forcing us down too. That's nice there. I need another vice grip. Not sure if these are gonna work. That'll work. Look at that. And that's joining up well there. Let's get a screw into there. Later on, we'll do a bunch of trimming. Perfect. Let's get ready. Yeah, let's get a clamp into that. Nope, can't quite get enough squeeze on it. Flip things around a little bit here. Clamp that, grab this, and put this one up and through here. Like that. We'll get a screw in here. Perfect. So when we take this whole section out of the car, we'll take and bring all these flanges in together, trim them up to whatever we need to trim them up to, and basically just finish them and make them all flow into each other. Because this has to be shrunk up in here yet, this has to be brought down, so there's still a little bit of work. But now we can move on to the A-post pillar cover and get that in. This is what we have to create. That's going to sit up in there, like so. And this is the blank right here. Just transpose the lines onto this and start forming this up and get this in place. I'm going to indicate the first bends on this A-post cover. Okay, so now we're going to go roll these legs up. Once we have the legs rolled up, we'll get the curvature right, fitting in to where it needs to on the car, and then we'll take and roll the secondary flange where the spot welds are going to happen. There we go, just about where we need to be. So now we need to take and adjust this to the buck inside. It's close. I've been fitting it as we've been going along, but there's a few creases we have to create to pick up the structure from the Mustang A-pillars. Last screws in, and I'm just going to pull these clamps off, see if anything moves. Loud bang, but doesn't appear that anything moved. And as you can see, that A-post structural pillar comes right up into that top section over the door. Now, we're still hanging down here, but a lot of that will be trimmed off as soon as we start working on the front cross member piece. Got the passenger side in there. Overall, that's coming in quite nicely. Now, I don't have the light aimed over there. It's pretty dark. Ah, there we go. So now, with the front or the side pieces completed, now we can move on to the back area there and start framing all that in. Sounds like a house, but we're not using 2x4s. And there's a peak at the other side. So you can see how well that came in. And that tail, like I mentioned, will be trimmed off. Okay, let's get working on the back section there. Get some templates made up and start forming those pieces. We've got the primary panels for the inner roof structure completed, and everything's tacked on screws at the moment. You can see, it's kind of hard to see for you guys because we're so close, but we have a nice gentle arc in that rear piece that matches up with the roof. We've corrected the curvatures along here. Now it's a bit low here, but that'll get pushed up and that'll get blended in nicely. So we have a nice consistent space through there. And we've been working on this front structural piece, and again, it's been arced to match up with the roof curvature. And these corners right there and there need to be trimmed up. And there's a lot of excess material that's not necessary, so that'll all be blended in with that front beam there. But we can't install that beam until these wireframe rods are gone, because as you can see from this side, we've got quite a gap there between the roof skin flange and that structural piece. So we're going to take and fine tune the flange and make sure it's sitting perfectly to where it needs to, up against the buck. The wireframe was matched up to the windshield, so we trust that. And we're going to take, and once that flange is finished, and that gets a little bit low over here, once it's all finished, then we'll take and remove this section of the buck and bring that structural piece up to meet up with that flange.